All righty. So welcome to our Wednesday bulb tips and tricks webinar. This is all about creating dynamic bulb pages. We're going to focus a lot today on what makes for really great content and how to really make that content shine within your bulb pages. And I will email out this document and we'll attach this document to the YouTube video. It gets posted as well, but we just have kind of a quick reference on creating a dynamic bulb page. So we're going to focus a lot on adding visual evidence, providing context for your audience, remembering to proofread and create that polished page, using a variety of media and text and wrapping text around media for some interest. Using dividers and dividing your content with headers and dividers, and then making a statement with your cover photo. Those are kind of the core things that really creates great bulb pages. So I really wanted to start and just show a couple examples. And Ashley, if you're willing to kind of work with me, I'll love to just hear some feedback. But so I'm just going to kind of show some things and just ask some things that you've observed. So here's an example of Kelsey Johnson. She's a high school student, has a beautiful portfolio, looks great and professional. One of her pages that I really love is her community service page here. And I thought I'd just show it for a second. So she talks about the Houston Food Bank and Feeding America and her experience. And so I'd love to hear, Ashley, like, what observations do you have about this page? What do you think makes this page stand out?
I think the way it's organized, just by sections, and then the graphics that are, next to each section.
Yeah.
I think I saw a slideshow of pictures a little bit further down. That was cool. So just the way it's organized, it kind of flows.
Yeah, I love that you point out the organization, because I think that's a really great core of what can make a great dynamic bulb page. And a couple things that I'll point out is that she uses our header feature here to document, here's about the Houston Food Bank, here's about my experience, so we can really see that information chunked together.
Right.
She actually uses graphics as section headers as well, so making a difference. And then we have kind of some subsections underneath that. Uses this carousel image to kind of divide a lot of text together. So that kind of breaks up the page. So being able to use lots of different media and images to break up some of that text makes that text much more digestible. Kind of in chunks as well. And you're right, just being able to bring in images. I mean, I like how she even just puts an image at the bottom of the Houston skyline, and just to bring some dynamics to the page, uses the logo for the Houston Food Bank here.
Right.
So sometimes I think we find it hard and we're like, oh, I didn't take pictures of that event, or I don't really have things that go along with it. But what are like some icons or some things, if you don't have it, like particular evidence towards a project or an event that you're doing, are there some things that you can kind of create on that page? Okay, so I'm going to show you this one as well. Here's another high school student. One of the things I love about this profile is that he really approaches bulb from taking it from what I believe is those soft skills and saying, these are the things that define me. I'm great at building relationships, learning dedication, taking initiative, and making a difference. And so I love where he has, he takes his lawn mowing adventures, and he uses a lot of the stuff that he's learned throughout his academic classes and put together into a collection to really tell a story. And that can be something really important when you think about dynamic pages, is what story are you telling and how are you telling that story? So one thing that I'll note here, and tell me if I start to cut out because it said my internet was a little, oh, I didn't see. Hey, Ms. Edwards, welcome. I didn't see that you joined us. Glad to have you.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm a little tardy. I was jumping from one PD to another.
Absolutely. You're good. You can join us. Well, actually, we're just kind of having a little conversation. I'm just showing a couple examples and talking through it and getting your guys's impressions of it. And then at the end, we'll kind of dig into some of these how-to to really make these dynamic bold pages. So one of the things I want to point out with this collection in Keith's portfolio is that he uses a collection about taking initiative, so a topic, and a collection's like a folder. It's just kind of a ways to organize your work. And then he divides his content. So instead of it all being on one page about here's my lawn mowing adventure and having one single page, he has a lot to say about this. And so he actually divides the content into multiple pages in the collection. So think about it like reading a book. These are almost like mini chapters of a book. So everything from the introduction of taking initiative to starting out, growing the business, and I won't show all of them, but he's done some really cool things. This is him adapting in his business. Here's, you know, come a long way. Here's how it's going about. I had to change my prices. This is what it is. Just using some visual imagery, and my slow internet, some pictures are rendering a little slowly, but you know, dealing with complaints and hard customers. And so he's not taking a picture of the customer, but he's using some visual images to kind of break up that text as well. And so he's really creating this great storyline of here is, you know, here's what I did. I love on this page when he talks about reflecting on the rewards of this business. He learns how to say no. And then he has to limit his expansion of the business and realize what he can afford and what he has time and capability to do. He embeds an example of a spreadsheet that he kept track of the different clients, so we can start to see evidence of the things that he had to do to be able to have this business come to life for him. And then has a picture of his first car, because that's the big reward that he got out of that business. So what a great way for us to get to know him and the way he goes about putting together his learning in terms and saying, I could just put on my resume that says I take initiative, but then you have this as the evidence and you go, oh my gosh, that kid's really on top of it, right? He really stands out from the crowd. Let me show. One of the things I love about this example here, this is actually professional who's using Bulb and documenting some processes that he does. And I thought he did a really great job of using a variety of media in his pages to really kind of tell that story in snippets. So he uses that audio file to really talk about the overview of this new secure file transfer project that he worked on.
When I arrived at Bulb, I discovered that we were receiving files that contained sensitive
and then uses just screenshots of images of things of this project that they worked on. So they created this secure file transfer software in here, uses a video to say, here is the result of what happened. And I actually have an interview from someone that said they made a difference on their team for that particular item as well. So using that variety of media made that page really interesting. I also love how he wraps text around the media and creates some easy flow and creates kind of sections that makes it really visible to the eye. I really like that piece as well. Here's another one of a student who is doing a coding project, and you think, okay, what are some of the evidence that we could do for a particular coding project here? Again, using those headers as well, using just not over loud, you know, colors, but just being able to kind of say, here are some key words specifically around the functions that he was using to really kind of draw attention to those words. And then this is all along the process. So being able to take what were those snippets from throughout the process of things that he worked on. So he created these little videos of the code in terms of what that looks like, just took a screenshot of some of the code that he worked on, uses an image carousel to show his character here. That wrap text again, you'll see there. And then has that final product at the bottom. So it does a great storytelling job of here's what it took to get to this game. And then there was a link, a hyperlink in here that allows me to then go and actually play the game that he produced, which is pretty cool. Okay, so what do you guys think so far? What are some things that you've really noticed about the pages that you like?
I like how it gives a good snapshot of the student or the candidate, kind of like you had already mentioned, kind of tells the story of how they have gained particular skills and knowledge in a specialized area. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I love that.
I would agree. And for me, I've used Bulb a little bit. I think I've mostly used it for the images and text. I've not done a lot with video or audio. So I love the combination of the different media points. And I think that makes it just, makes it pop, makes it much more interesting and engaging for sure.
Yeah, that's a great observation. And I love the audio file. It's a really popular feature in Bulb. It really brings a lot of voice to the page, and it gives students and us as educators as well options in how you express yourself. So a lot of times we want students to reflect on their work and they have to do some kind of written 1 or 3 sentences answering some prompts, but giving them the option to maybe do a reflection with an audio file and use their voice, and or to use that audio file recording to give context to a page. That's kind of one of the big things about creating a Bulb page, is that when you're presenting your work, instead of just doing a, just a piece of writing. So here's a 4th grade student who did a piece of writing and put it on here, which is great. Now they have that in their portfolio and they can see that growth over time. But it'd sure be nice to have some context around that. Like, what was I learning about Paul's perspective? Did I read something and then write this? Why did I pick this to put in my portfolio? Why do I think this shows off a particular skill or says that I've gotten better at a particular, concept or anything like that? So providing that construct and that concept of let the audience know what was the assignment, what challenges did I have, what constraints. I had to put this together in 30 minutes, or I had a couple weeks to do this. I did this with a group, right? I mean, that all gives a lot of context into us being able to look at the work and see it kind of for what it is. So those things are really helpful as well. Okay, so I am actually in my portfolio right now, and I'm going to take this page on outer space. I really like this page because it does a lot of interesting stuff with some different kinds of media, and I really want to get into that and show you how easy it is to be able to add these different elements into your page and give you kind of some tips along the way. So I was just in preview mode showing that page. I am now signed in edit mode. So I can come in here, and if I want to create those section headers, when I highlight my text, this gives me that formatting toolbar. And sometimes people miss this little T icon right here. And when you click on that, that allows you to change your font. It allows you to have a couple different color choices here. So sometimes I like to make my headers always blue. Or maybe gray, just to kind of make them stand out. I can also use my H2 and H3, which is really like a font size, and be able to put those on there as well. So that's a really great way to create those section type of pieces. Also say in, when you're doing some formatting of text as well, if I highlight some words here, I can create a hyperlink. So say I want to go out to a particular website that I reference in here by highlighting the words and creating a hyperlink right within those words. A lot of times I see on Bulb pages, people will say, I use this website in my research, and then they'll put in a website, right? And then they just leave it like that. And as a viewer of the page, I have to then go like copy or type in the website if I want to go view it. And so one just polished step is to highlight that and to do the little chain link and just make that a hyperlink. So when it's blue, now when I highlight over it, I know that that's now a hot link, and it will go to that. So that's just like another little polish piece whenever you're putting a website in there, to be able to put that hyperlink in. I'll also show you how. So here's a website that we referenced in this outer space page, right? And you'll see this is different than that hyperlink because it's actually like a tile. It's a visual image of a link that goes out to an article in a website. And it's really easy to put that into your bulb page. So instead of just putting the hyperlink right here, which I could, but doesn't really look as interesting, right? I can hit return or enter and click on this blue URL. So these blue buttons are really that media toolbar that allows you to add lots of different kinds of media. So I can click on URL here, and now I can insert that URL. And it has now inserted that website as a visual tile, which looks pretty cool. And I can actually resize this a little bit. So if I click on this tile and get that blue box around it, that's something really important to know with all of our media. When you click on the piece of media and get the blue box around it, a lot of times you get some great editing tools to be able to resize or do some editing to your media here. So I can make it bigger, or I might say, hey, this is just something, a little something I want to reference. And I'm just going to copy and paste some text under here. And now maybe I want to do that wrapping text. And so something important to know is when you wrap text, the text will always wrap from below the media up on either the left or right hand side. So you notice I didn't have any text down below that. And so I added some text down below. When I click on this embed and I do the right or left alignment, that's how that text wraps up around it. Right? And I go to that side and I go back into the middle. So if I didn't have that text, then it would just go to the side and have a lot of blankness on the right or the left. So that's an easy way to kind of create a dynamic. And then I can go, oh, I like it looks like that, or I want to make it a little bit smaller. Now I have some interest on my page. Another thing we kind of just talking about the text and just ways to divide content. You noticed, especially in that community service example, that the student had used a graphic to kind of divide out some of the content. And so you can use pictures to do that. Another little tip that I use is I love Canva. Do any of you guys use Canva?
Yes.
I do a lot of stuff in Canva because I think it creates some really easy images. And so sometimes I just go in and create little section headers like this. And so I'm doing, maybe I'm research or documenting a page for a project. And I'll be like, here's my introduction, my problem, my audience, my approach, my final work sample, and my reflection. And we have tons of templates that have these actually already in them. But if you were creating your own page on your own and you wanted some specific, tiles here, you could create something like this in Canva and download them and then just add them to your page to be able to separate your content as well. So that's another great way to do your section dividers. Let me stop for a second and just see if you guys have any questions. And if not, I'll continue on.
I may be jumping ahead, but you referenced templates. I'd love to see where to go to do that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll do that on the end. I'll make sure that I show you kind of how to get to those templates. Yeah. Okay, so one of our really popular features for doing images is our image carousel. So this is what an image carousel looks like in edit mode. I can go through these images. Something good to know is that you can create a caption for each individual image. And that's another tip for a dynamic bold page, is to put captions on your different media. So give us something about what this image is supposed to represent. Help us be able to connect those dots of why you're adding that, that media to your page. You can also do a little bit of formatting to this. You could hyperlink it and reference something from another website, or bold and underline, italicize within a caption as well. The other thing about carousels is sometimes people put way too many pictures in a carousel. So really the ideal number is between 2 and 6 images. Once you get past 6 images, people get tired of looking through them. They've kind of worn out in terms of what you're trying to show. So if you have a ton of images, you either need to pare it down and select the things that you think are going to resonate and tell your story the best, or that the audience would want to see the most. Or you might need to create multiple image carousels. Hey, here's all the pictures of my drafting of my project and ideation, and here's all the images of like in progress, and then another carousel on some of the final product, or things like that. So don't put too many, really over 6. I think you kind of start to get a little much in the carousel. And the way to create a carousel is you simply start with your image here. And I'm going to actually just grab one right out of my asset library. Now I have my image, and the first image with your image carousel will dictate the size of your image carousel. A lot of times we put in multiple pictures and they're all different sizes. Some are horizontal, some are vertical, things like that. So I can determine by the first image that I use for my carousel what size. So I can just drag this corner, make it smaller. And then I'm going to convert it to a carousel by just simply clicking on the image, clicking on that image, create image carousel, the mountain with the sun icon. And I'm going to click OK. And now you might go, okay, well, how do I add other pictures to this? Well, I just simply click on that piece of media again. Remember that blue box always reveals some great tools for you. And now I get that plus and minus, and I can now add a new image into here and caption it and create that carousel. Something just be careful with from a carousel perspective is when I select everything and hit the trash can, it's going to delete the entire carousel. If I want to delete a single image, I select that image and click the minus sign. Do you want to currently delete the selected image? Yes. And so just something to be aware of with the carousel piece. Okay. So something else that people like to do with their bold pages a lot is they have some kind of document that they want to add to their bold page. And Bold does documents really cool. So when you add a file, and I would recommend for most of your documents that you put on a page, PDFs are the best because it ensures the formatting and everything that you created stays as it is. But you can add Word documents, you can add Excel documents, you can embed from Google Drive and documents you have saved in your OneDrive as well. I'm just going to go grab, let's see if I can find a quick PDF here. So now I have a PDF document here, and a lot of people leave the document just like this. I want to note sometimes, depending on what the document is and what you kind of have on it, it may like cut off part of the document. This happens a lot with Word documents where like some of the edge is cut off a little bit. And so just to make it look polished, when you click on that document, if you resize it, that will then give you making sure that nothing's cut off and it looks really clean on your page. You can make it smaller as well, and you can wrap text around it. And PDFs are really nice too, because if I go to preview mode, do you see that little icon with the arrow and the square in the upper right-hand corner? As a viewer, if someone was viewing my page and I wanted them to have access to maybe an article to read or something to download as like a guide, they could just click on that little arrow, it'll pop out, and now they can print that document, save that document maybe to their Google Drive or something that they need. So a lot of people use their bulb pages. A lot of educators use it to deliver content in different ways. They might have students read an article or something like that. And if the students need to print that document, those PDFs print really well. So let's talk about audio files. So here's an audio file. This is kind of a cool one because the student had actually gotten the audio file off the web as just a WAV file, and has the first day of the Apollo mission.
To the closed position and then release. As you know, we have no TM or talk.
So super cool content. But you can also just record audio right into your bulb page as well. So just hitting return or enter and clicking on audio here allows you to click on record audio. You start it, it'll count you down. And now I can just record my audio, click save, and that'll render that audio file right there. So it's nice to be able to just do that right within your bulb page, but if you have an audio file from somewhere else, you can always upload it as well. Okay, just wrapping up, the last thing I wanted to make sure that we covered was from a video perspective, if you add videos to a bulb page, you can actually upload videos. So a lot of times students are taking videos of a skill or demonstrating something that they're doing. And they can upload it directly to Bulb. They can sign into Bulb on their phone or mobile device. So it makes it really friendly. And then when they click upload, it'll take directly to their camera roll and they can bring that video into their page. But just like when you're uploading videos to YouTube, it does, especially if the video is a little bit longer, it does take a little time to process. So one tip that I'll give is that if you're embedding long videos, I would say really over 5 minutes, that's where YouTube does things really well in terms of you can upload it there and go and do other work and kind of let it process because it'll take a lot longer. And then you can just take that YouTube link and put it right in here and embed that video into your bulb page. It'll make your bulb page render a lot faster for your audience and allows you to just let that process kind of over in that tab that you're uploading to YouTube. And YouTube has a private option, so you can make your video private in YouTube and just click that link and paste it in there as well. But of course, you can always upload videos directly to Bulb too. Just know that it will take a little bit of time to process those videos. Okay, so that kind of concludes what I wanted to cover in terms of some just great tips on creating a dynamic bulb page. And again, I said I'll send out this resource. Also, the second page of this resource is great. This is great for students in particular. 6 pages you should have in your portfolio. About me, a digital resume, which Bulb is making a huge announcement in March about a new digital resume feature, which is super exciting. So keep an eye on your email for that announcement. Work samples, community service, awards and accolades, and hobbies and passions. And then there's some little information about some additional things you might want to add. And like a lot of students are going, what are work samples? What should that look like? And we looked at some of those examples today, but I'll make sure that you guys have access to this resource. So let's, you had asked about templates. So let's talk about templates a little bit. Templates are really exciting. And I actually had, oops, I went to the wrong page. The webinar that we did last week was all about templates. So I can resend that to you as well if you want to watch that, but I'll give you a little shortened version. And I know that we're at time, so Ashley, if you need to go for any reason, I completely understand. But if you want to hang on and learn about templates, you can hang with us as well.
Yeah, I'm going to learn because I missed last week's as well.
Okay.
I did too.
Perfect.
Thank you. I met with our reps today and they were like, well, actually there's this webinar on Wednesdays. And I was like, yes, I need to go. Yes. So
Yes.
thank you for
Perfect.
indulging me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, templates are, to me, some of the best ways for you guys to get started, as well as really helpful for students to get started as well. And what a template really is, it's a bulb page that's kind of pre-formatted. And so I love to use this new resource. So ICV is a curriculum provider, and we have a new partnership with them, and they actually produced over 200 CTE templates. So for any of your CTE teachers who are doing projects with their students, they'll probably find a template that's associated with something that they're doing with their students this spring. And so this is actually the ICV and bulb template portfolio, and these are all just divided into all the different course areas. And so I think this shows a really great example of what templates look like and how they can be used. So I'm going to come in here to exploring careers in business management administration. So here's 3 different templates, 3 different projects. And in here, you'll see that it says, here's the assignment. Use this template to create a career plan. And then it gives students the guide in terms of how they're going to create this project. And the benefit of them doing this in bulb is now they can use lots of multimedia to express these ideas and pull in their different research and express their career plan. And then as they're doing career exploration in this particular scenario, they can collect all of this and keep this organized in one place in their portfolio, which is really great. So they can come and reference back to it at any time. So it'll say, take a picture of a real job description and add it in here. And you'll see some of these header graphics under goals. List your short and long-term goals. What are some courses that need to help you? Provide some examples of your experience, and then do a reflection. Use the audio feature to answer the questions above. So this is an example of a template. And how students use this is most of the time using a learning management system, the teacher will just copy the URL to the template, post that URL in your learning management system. So assignment, students use this bulb template to create a career plan. They'll paste in this URL right here. And then the students will just click on that URL and it'll take them to this page. And then they simply click on use template right here in the upper right-hand corner. And it makes a copy of this. Now this page lives in their portfolio. So you can see it right down here. I now have edit rights to it. I can now do the assignment. And then once I finish the assignment, I can then publish that assignment and then submit it back to the teacher through the learning management system. So it's a really easy way to give students a lot of structure in terms of content that they can create. And so I love those CT templates. They're kind of new and out there, which is exciting. But we actually have hundreds and hundreds of templates of all different kinds of subject areas. So the best way to find templates is once you're signed into your portfolio, you come up to this hamburger menu up in the upper right-hand corner. Those are those 3 lines. Click on More. And right here is Resource Center. So that Resource Center is really, really great. And you can even bookmark this URL as well if you want, but you can always get to it once you're signed into Bulb. And there are ebooks and blogs and lots of student examples and links to our YouTube channel that has webinars and things like that we're doing right now on it. But you'll see as I scroll down a little bit, I can search a title or a description. I can filter by audience. So do I want like secondary ed? Am I looking for capstone projects or art or about me templates or, examples of group projects, things like that. And then under types here, you'll see I have blog posts, case studies, lessons, newsroom, and then here's templates right here. So if I filter it by templates, then I can see all of these different templates that are available for all the different subject areas. There's a lot of reflection templates. How do I reflect on my learning? How do I all the content that we talked about, like community service and work samples and research projects and hobbies. Those all have templates in the library. So this is a great place to find a lot of inspiration. The other thing that teachers do sometimes with templates is they might find one. So say this one, for example, that we just did, the career plan. They might be like, that's really good, but the project that I do, I really want my students to do this one extra thing to it. So the teacher can copy that template from the resource library or wherever they find a template into their own portfolio, and then they can make edits and they can say, I'm not actually having them do it with business administration, say job in your career that you're interested in, or however they would want to adjust the template. And then they simply publish this as a template by just clicking this little box in the publish panel. And now they can post this URL in the learning management system to give the students the ability to copy it in, so that they've customized it for their students, and they've kind of started with work that someone else already did and just made the few little tweaks that they need for themselves. All right, what questions do you have about templates? That was 30-minute template session in like 5 minutes for you.
No, it gave me a lot to go home and research and explore. So I'm excited, and I'm gonna find the video that I missed last time and watch that.
Great. I'll send you a follow-up email tonight too, and I'll send you the direct link so you can have it as well. That's great. Thank you guys so much for spending some minutes with me today on a Wednesday. Do you have any other questions? I'm here for you, so we might as well.
I can't think of any. Thank you as